We have worked with many groups of doctors and physicians around the world, and in many cases work with associations. Some of these associations, like the American Academy of Family Physicians or echocardiography, have thousands of doctors involved, and some have just a very few. And some are kind of like you in the beginning, maybe stages of building, if you will, maybe a society or a special brand of what you do. And so today we're going to talk about what it means to build a genuine brand. How do you build a genuine brand? What does it mean when you talk about genuine? Why is that good or bad? And how you as individuals can become part of your brand, to be a genuine brand. And then what about making a promise? The promise is the essence of a genuine brand in our mind. And then a little bit about your promise, okay? So when I say the word brand, what comes to mind? What kinds of things, when somebody says brand, what do you think about?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, great. You were about to say something, I sensed? Calvin Klein, okay. So you're thinking of an apparel brand? You're thinking of a beverage brand? What else?
Type of quality.
Yes, a type of quality. In other words, perhaps a brand to you means quality. What else?
Consistency.
Consistency. So if you're a brand, then you should be consistent? So when you open a can of Coca-Cola or a bottle, is it okay if it tastes different? No. And so consistency is a very big part of a brand. What else does the word brand mean to you?
Exclusivity.
Exclusivity, yes. It might mean only available to a few. Kind of like your services as you leave here tomorrow are only going to be available to a few, right? What you've learned today are only going to be available to a few of your patients and guests, not all over Canada or all over the U.S. It's going to be somewhat exclusive. In fact, a long time ago, Webster, I guess he was the father of the dictionary, but he kind of came up with some definitions for brand, and one of the things we find is that there's a lot of confusion about brand, and people talk about branding. And today's meeting is really not necessarily about branding. It's more about brand, and what most people talk about is when they think about becoming a brand name, like Coca-Cola. I'm not suggesting they are a brand name, but they're certainly some version of a brand. A brand name, the only characteristic is that it's widely known. So many large companies, many large businesses, many large companies and brands in the U.S. are known by 90% of the people in the United States, or the same in Canada. And yet many of them are going out of business. Hundreds of companies, hundreds of some kind of brands are actually going out of business. When a company like General Motors says it's eliminating 2 of its 7 or 8 brands, those brands are going out of business. So they're probably a brand name because they're widely known, but they're very similar to others. Does that make sense? And so that's the last thing you want to be, is a brand name. Now, the definition of brand, if you're going to be a brand, requires that you be perceived as distinctive. And for the rest of the day, we're going to talk about this in the context of what you do, products and services and experiences. But you have to be perceived as distinctive by someone else. You have to be perceived as different, not indifferent.